Day 221. By now the distance of the ship from Earth meant that it took about 13 minutes for messages to travel across the void at the speed of light. This made back and forth communication a slow process. The crew were more isolated now than they had ever been before. They had not been able to talk with their families back on Earth for 7 months, except for short one-way videos or text messages. This hurt Phoebe the most out of all the crew. She knew beforehand that she would miss her children, but she did not know how bad it would feel. Frequently she would cry herself to sleep, thinking about all of the events she was going to miss in her children's lives. Birthdays, homecoming dances, recitals, plays, first kisses. The only sound was the constant whirring of the air circulatory system as Phoebe laid awake in her sleep sack. Thoughts were circling in her head. She asked herself silently, "Why did I do this? What was I thinking? For science, for my country, and for all people," she reminded herself. It did not make the pain go away. Day 252, November 9th, 2031. The Taurus stopped and the Ion rockets fired, capturing the Phoenix 5 in orbit around Mars. "Today we land on Mars. I can't believe it," Anesh declared, gazing at the screen. They looked out the windows and saw the dusty red planet below. Just below them was Hellas Planitia, the giant crater where they would be landing. It was a dull red color and almost impossible to fathom. It was bigger than any canyon on Earth, stretching 2,300 kilometers wide and 7 kilometers deep. The entire continental United States could fit inside. Kurt called for a meeting in the central room. "This is it, gang. The day we've been training and preparing for," Kirk bellowed. "You know the plan. We send down the robots and supplies first and make sure they land. Then we go down in the lander using the robot beacon as a target. We'll try to get as close as possible without hitting anything. Then we make sure everyone is okay. Once everyone is checked out, we confirm the landing with Houston. Got it?" Everyone replied, "Aye," or in Akshara's case, "yes." Their heads were swimming with excitement despite the years of training. Nothing can prepare you for the actual reality of landing on another planet, being the first humans ever to do so. They sent the robot lander to the surface. It included the bulk of cargo that they would need to set up a base on Mars and survive for 2 years. Machines, seeds, raw nutrients, biomass, their waste, 3D printers, printer feed, some food, water, and the robots. Not having humans aboard, it could undergo a more turbulent landing, which saved on fuel. They all watched their respective live feeds from the lander with bated breath as it descended to the planet below. The mission depended on this landing being successful. All they could do is watch. "Rigel, describe to us what's happening to the lander and simulcast to Central Command," Kirk commanded the computer. "Yes, sir." The lander floated away from the ship and down into the Martian atmosphere for what seemed like an eternity. The lander is now 127 kilometers above the surface and moving at 5.8 kilometers per second. The lander is now 113 kilometers above the surface and moving at 5.7 kilometers per second. Altitude 100 meters and 5.6 kilometers per second. The heat shield is starting to heat up. Altitude 86 kilometers and 5.5 kilometers per second. Altitude 74 kilometers and 5.4 kilometers per second. Heat shield temperature estimated at about 2,100 Celsius, 58 kilometers and 5.3 kilometers per second. 45 kilometers and 5.1 kilometers per second. Temperature at 3,532 degrees Celsius. Critical temperature at 7,700. He means it blows up at 7,700, Anesh specified. Everyone else shushed him. "Shh." Rigel was silent for some time, then, "Starting peak deceleration, 23 kilometers and 4.2 kilometers per second. 5,634 degrees Celsius, 22 kilometers and 3.8 kilometers per second. 7,201 Celsius, 200 kilometers and 3.4 kilometers per second. 7,356 degrees Celsius, 18 kilometers and 2.7 kilometers per second, 16 kilometers, 14 kilometers. Deploying parachute. Parachute successfully deployed in rapidly slowing lander. Altitude now 12 kilometers and speed is 0.57 kilometers per second. The sigh of relief was audible from the crew. 11 kilometers and 0.39 kilometers per second. Preparing to drop heat shield. Heat shield successfully dropped. 9.8 kilometers and 0.13 kilometers per second. 1 minute passed in silence while the lander descended towards the surface. 3.1 kilometers and 87 meters per second. Radar system now detecting the surface. 1.3 kilometers and 79 meters per second. Firing retro rockets. 1 kilometer altitude and 60 meters per second speed. 700 meters and 55 meters per second. 400 meters and 45 meters per second. 200 meters and 33 meters per second. 100 meters, 28 meters per second. Deploying airbags. The crew collectively held their breath. The lander is signaling. It has landed.